It is Friday, the 18th of April, 2025. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. We've gone this whole time without ever talking about the music of Tom Waits. And that's another name who, on a longer time scale, I would have definitely talked about more Tom Waits songs, but we're getting to the end now, and I definitely need to talk about one. I was torn so much between talking about Martha or I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You. And I really wish I could talk about I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You, but I decided in the end to talk about Martha because it just popped into my head the other day, and I was like, man, this song is so fucking good. It's so sad, and I love it. Now, if you don't know Tom Waits, you've probably heard his music somewhere. I mean, Shrek 2, for example. Little Drop of Poison is in that movie. That's probably how a lot of people know him. He also has a song in Robots called Underground. That's another one. He also has acted. He's in Seven Psychopaths and Wrist Cutters, A Love Story. He's all over the place. Going Out West is in Fight Club. He's everywhere. And what he's known for is primarily his gravelly voice and his experimental music. He always sings like this. When people do an impression of Tom Waits, they're like, I'm going out west where the wind blows tall. That's how people do a Tom Waits impression. But the thing is that he didn't always sound like that, and he didn't always do music like that. I mean, he always had a gravelly voice. But the song we're talking about today, Martha, like I said, is from his very first album, Closing Time, from 1973. He was 24 when this album came out, which is bonkers to me because of the content, and also specifically because this song is about an old man. He was writing it when he was probably 23 when he was making it, right? And he doesn't sound like a young man at all. His voice just always sounded like this. But this is before he got weird and experimental with his stuff. And his experimental stuff is good, don't get me wrong. Bone Machine and Closing Time are my two favorite albums, and they're very different to each other. But this album is like a jazz album. It's a folk album. It's very piano focused and focused on his voice as well. Just a kind of an underrated one in his discography because people focus on his weirder stuff later. But I really, really love this album. And this song tells a great story. So let's go listen to it now and then come back in a few minutes and talk about it. And that was Martha by Tom Waits. This song has such an interesting atmosphere to it. I mean, it's in a major key, but it feels so melancholic. And I think a big part of it is obviously his voice, but also the piano and the strings and the gentle backing vocals. It all just makes this atmosphere of just melancholy, like I said. It's not depressing. It is depressing. But the atmosphere isn't oppressively sad. It's just it just has this air of a rainy day, and I think it just evokes a mood so well and tells the story so well, and it's wild that he was able to do that so young considering what the song is about, but here we are. So what is the song about? Well, the song is about an old man trying to reach out to a woman named Martha, and they used to go out with each other, and it's been decades since he's spoken to her last, and he just wants to reconnect because he misses her. And that's essentially the entirety of the song, and it's just really, really sad because you hear the desperation in him, and kind of the way he describes their past is really interesting. So let's go through the lyrics, shall we? Operator, number please. It's been so many years. Will she remember my old voice while I fight the tears? Hello, hello there. Is this Martha? This is old Tom Frost. I am calling long distance. Don't worry about the cost. 'Cause it's been 40 years or more now. Martha, please recall. Meet me out for coffee where we'll talk about it all. And those were days of roses, of poetry and prose. And Martha, all I had was you, and all you had was me. There was no tomorrows. We packed away our sorrows, and we saved them for a rainy day. Oh, I love it so much. So it starts off with him asking the operator for the number, which immediately tells you the song is from fucking 1973. Hello, operator. Will she remember my old voice while I fight the tears? So he's already thinking about, will she remember me? But also he's already emotional. He knows he's going to be emotional, Hello, hello there. Is this Martha? This is old Tom Frost. He calls himself Tom Frost. And everyone, well, at least the person who wrote the description on Genius seems to take it as read that the character's name is Tom Frost. But to me, that always sounded like his name is Tom, like Tom Waits, and Tom Frost is a nickname that he was really cold or something. I just feel like it just scans to me as being a bit cheeky, you know what I mean? Now, someone at Genius pointed out that characters in the song From Above, which I talked about before in the show, are named Martha and Tom, which could be a reference to this song. And I think that's a really interesting idea. I completely believe that Nick Hornby would do that, considering his obsession with music. But I don't know if he did in this case, but it would make sense given what that song is about. Anyway, I am calling long distance, don't worry about the cost. Again, that's an old thing. thing. Long distance calls cost so much money, so it'd be, you'd really want to do it in order to make that sacrifice, pay that cost. Because it's been 40 years or more. Don't now, Martha, please recall, meet me out for coffee where we'll talk about it all. So it's been over 40 years, and he's trying to like make sure that she remembers, and he wants to go meet her for coffee. And then the chorus is the reminiscing. Those were days of roses, of poetry and prose. Very much gives me the idea that they're like college students together. It just makes me think of like typical like college students sitting on a green reading poetry and like making daisy crowns, like very Dead Poet Society sort of imagery to me. I don't know. And Martha, all I had was you, and all you had was me. There was no tomorrows. We packed away our sorrows, and we saved them for a rainy day. I love that bit. There was no tomorrows. Well, they were young, and they weren't thinking about the future, and they just like pushed away the sad times and saved them for a rainy day. And it's kind of talking about how like he's talking about those are the good old days, but he's actively admitting that they kind of repressed the sadder things because they didn't want to deal with them, and of course that caught up with them in the end. And then the second verse, and I feel so much older now, you're much older too. How's your husband and how's your kids, that I got married to? Lucky that you found someone to make you feel secure, because we were all so young and foolish, now we are mature. And then you get the chorus again. So, I feel so much older now, you're much older too. Kind of a bit of subtlety in the phrasing there. He doesn't say you feel older too, he says you're older, but he says I feel older, which very much feels like he's kind of he's painting himself as sort of weaker and older, How's your husband and how's your kids? So he knows that she's married, or he's fishing for information. He asks, how's your husband and how's your kids? Because he assumes you're old, you've probably moved on, you've married and had kids. He says, that I got married too. Now that's an interesting phrase here, because he doesn't say anything about his wife. He doesn't say anything about potential kids. He says, that I got married too. It really implies that his wife is dead or that they're separated, So I think that's an interesting detail to put in there. Lucky that you found someone to make you feel secure. Also maybe implies that his wife didn't make him feel secure, and he's glad that she found someone who does. Because we were all so young and foolish, now we are mature. Pretty self-explanatory. So the chorus. Then verse 3, and I was always so impulsive, I guess that I still am, and all that really mattered then was that I was a man. I guess that our being together was never meant to be, but Martha, Martha, I love you, can't you see? So this is where it all comes together, right? I was always so impulsive, I guess that I still am. I mean, he's saying how not much has really changed in those 40 years. I'm still impulsive. I'm calling you right now on a whim. And all that really mattered then was that I was a man. I mean, if he's talking about 40 years ago, that's like the 30s, right? So I feel like he's referencing how kind of masculinity, like obsession with being a man and all this, like, be a man. I feel like he's just calling to mind like older viewpoints, I guess. I guess that our being together was never meant to be. I mean, they didn't end up together and it's been 40 years. But Martha, Martha, I love you, can't you see? It's just so sad, the delivery of it. Martha, Martha, I love you, can't you see? Oh, man. He's kind of shooting his shot here, either over the phone or at coffee, right? And it's just like, you can imagine him saying this and her just staying silent on the line, not knowing what to say, And then the chorus again, and then the last bit. I love how it ends. Not a lot of songs do this, but I love the way it does it, where it sounds like it's starting a new verse, but it just does one line. It's just, and I remember quiet evenings trembling close to you. Oh, what a line to end on. Just remembering the quiet times. Trembling close to you is such an interesting phrase. But he's talking about holding each other close, He's remembering the quiet times, not just the loud, impulsive times, right? Ugh. It's just such a good song. It really immerses you in the atmosphere and makes you feel his pain, And I love the piano throughout as well. And that's pretty much going to be it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell other people about this show. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Break it down. Me enamoré.